For our first spelling word to review, let's write stomach. We think to spell stomach. I used as a hint the word ache to help you remember the ch, but I noticed on the quiz that some people then ended up writing a silent final E at the end. Make sure we don't have a silent final E at the end of stomach. I think that I confused you with including the word ache. But make sure we have no silent final E at the end of stomach, which we think to spell stomach or stomach. Yes, Aryanch?
So that phonogram EI, we say EI, but we write IE. I'm just thinking everyone should know how to spell that. To write that, because it just tells you.
It tells you we write IE. Tig, what's your trick for remembering stomach? And the next word, by the way, boys and girls, is straight, like a straight line.
I always think of stomach without an ache. I always think of a stomach without an ache.
A stomach without an ache.
Yeah.
Nice. And for the word straight, remember we've got an unusual German phonogram that goes. Can you all say the German phonogram? Straight. That's a fun phonogram to say. Straight. We have an unusual phonogram here. It kind of looks like the A four-letter A phonogram, but we actually use the letter A rather than an E. So this is not the A four-letter A phonogram. But it looks pretty similar to that. But we think to spell straight. Next, please write. That's right, Tig. Let's do foreign. Foreign. Remember that we think to spell foreign like reigning over a foreign country. That was a recent spelling word that we had too. Reign, like reigning over a kingdom. Foreign. So, Harika, the word is foreign, and we're going to end with not an ng sound, but it's going to be n, two-letter n, used both at the beginning and end of a base word. You were close. Good morning, Sahanasri. We're doing some spelling word review on our whiteboards. Would you take your whiteboard out? Here's foreign. Check that your spelling matches mine. Foreign. Some people, I just added an H in there, like the A four-letter A. Make sure it's not, there's no H in foreign. A-E and N, two-letter N, used both at the beginning and end of a base word. Okay, let's do another one. Severe. Like severe thunderstorms are up ahead. Or I had a severe stomach ache. So Aryanch, it could be an unusual phonogram, but instead we say just the is an unusual phonogram. Severe. Great job, Sahanasri. Boys and girls, make sure you're holding it up like Sahanasri when you finish. Severe. Severe. E says it's named because of a silent final E. And this gets kind of muffled, but it's severe. Okay. That's all for review. Please put your whiteboard and marker away and take out your binder for a new spelling lesson. Yes, Emma?
My elf is near to my room because she was here. And so probably I can show you her. She's in
Ooh,
our,
I'd love to see her.
yeah. First
Maybe she'll hide in your room sometime. And then
Yeah.
we would definitely get a chance to see her. You'll have to point her out.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have an elf at their house?
She came from
Alexander and Ben? Yes, I think she's talking about an elf on the shelf. Okay. Well, we'll have chances to see maybe other people's elves sometime soon. Let's take out our binder and pencil for our spelling lesson now, though. And I'm going to turn off our chat for now so we don't get distracted with that. Okay. Our first word today is develop. What do you say, develop? To develop means like to grow, basically. So babies develop as they are learning new things and growing. Plants can develop seeds and blooms. Means to grow and change, to develop. Would you say develop? Develop. Good. We think to spell this word as develop. The last syllable is unstressed, and so it says an up sound, even though we should say up. Develop. Fingers under your chin to say it with me, please. Develop. 3 syllables. What is in the first syllable? D, E. 2 sounds. That's E in an open syllable. Second syllable, what sounds do you hear? V, E, O. 3 sounds. Basic code. Last syllable, what sounds do you hear? A, P. 2 sounds. Basic code. Develop. Pick up your pencil and write it, please. Okay, develop. Thumbs up if you spelled it correctly. Nice job. Samhita, I'll get to you in just a second. Okay, we say develop. So we'll put thinking cap on that first E, develop, basic code, develop. What are we going to do here? Good job, Josiah. Another thinking cap. And this is a verb. It's the action of growing and changing. Samhita, did you have something to say with that?
No, I just after we finish the word, we have to raise our hand.
Oh, thank you very much for remembering that from yesterday. We're good since the cameras are working better right now. Okay, our next word goes along with it. It actually comes from the same base word. And instead of develop, which is to grow and change, it's envelop, which sounds like another word you probably are thinking of. What does it sound like? Aryansh?
Envelope.
Envelope, excellent. And that will be a spelling word right afterwards. Envelope. Now, an envelope is something you've heard of much more often than envelop. The envelope itself is, what you would put a letter in, for example, but to envelop is the action of closing around something. So you can envelop a letter with an envelope. Or maybe you envelop your mom in a hug, which means you're wrapping around. Who likes to envelop their mom or little brothers and sisters in hugs? It's to wrap around. Can you show me enveloping yourself in a hug? Or if you've got a favorite stuffed animal nearby, envelop it in a hug. Yes, Tig?
I would if I could, but my mom is dropping off my sister at school, and my dad is taking a nap, and my favorite stuffed animals are upstairs. So no.
Oh. Well, when your mom gets back, you'll say, you need to say, I've been waiting for you to get back so I could envelop you in a hug.
Okay.
It's in my sister's room. My favorite stuffies, my sister's room.
I see a few favorite stuffies in the other screens, though. Samhita and Aline have got some cute ones. Alexander. Oh, Emma, we don't need to go to another room, though. Okay, so our word is envelop, and we're going to think to spell the last part like up, just like develop. So this one is envelop. Sound it out with me. Envelop. 3 syllables. In the first syllable, our sounds are n. 2 sounds. It's not I, it's envelop. The last 2 syllables are the same as in develop. Okay, pick up your pencil, please, and write envelop. It's only the first syllable that changes. Aryansh, is that your study guide that you're holding up?
It's inside my binder pocket.
Oh, very handy. We'll talk about that in just a minute after writing the words. Okay, so for envelop, we've got n, syllable break. Make sure it's an not I. V-E-L, syllable break. Up, envelop. Who spelled it correctly? Great job. And a lot of times we can pronounce it envelope or envelope. So make sure that we're really pronouncing it as envelop, and envelope. Okay, so we're not going to put a thinking cap because we should say here, even though sometimes people don't. Second syllable, any markings? Envelop. Nope. Basic code. Over here, envelop. Thinking cap. Good job, Emma. This word is also a verb. Now, let's change it into a noun by simply adding a silent final E. Then it's envelope. O will say its name because of a silent final E. Please write envelope. Envelope. Sorry, I just made that mistake of saying an I sound. But we're writing envelope. All we do is add a silent final E. Syllable breaks remain the same. Okay. N, syllable break. O, syllable break. O, P, silent final E. Just one letter different, one phonogram that we're adding. Envelope. How do we mark this last syllable? Show me with your arms how we mark it. Good job, Emma. Thank you, Arianch. Thank you, Josiah and Alexander. O says its name because of a silent final E. Job number 1. And that P is part of our vowel consonant vowel pattern. What part of speech is this? It's a person, place, or a thing. A noun names a quality or an idea. A noun is a part of speech. It names a person, place, or a thing. A noun may be singular or plural. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, one more word today. The last word for today is circle. What do you all say, circle? Circle.
Miss Carter, I think we already wrote the word circle before.
You know, I was thinking the exact same thing, but I also couldn't remember if it was from last year. Sometimes we have repeat words in our spelling lists, and I think this might be one of those that ends up getting repeated. Strange enough.
Yeah, it was, but also we did circular.
Ooh, good memory, both of you girls. Okay, so we are writing circle, even though it was earlier in the list too. So you all should remember this, and it can be review for you. For the word circle, we've got a k saying its second sound in our first syllable, and then we have another one in the second syllable, making the first sound. Sound out circle with me. Circle, 2 syllables. In the first syllable, what sounds do we hear? S-er, 2 sounds. What makes the sound in this word? Does anybody remember? Which do we use, Samhita?
I forgot the one, but it's in bird.
That's right. We call it the of bird. So you didn't forget it. And then in our last syllable, what sounds do you hear? K-ol, 2 sounds. Those are only consonant sounds, so what do we need at the end? We need a silent final E. Job number 4. Please pick up your pencil and write circle. Okay. Let's write it. And then I see some raised hands. If your hand is raised just because you're done with the word, would you lower it? But if it's up because of a question or something like that, you can keep it up and I'll just get to you in a moment. Okay, circle. Syllable break. Silent final E. Okay, would you please show me markings? How do we mark this first syllable? Good job, Josiah. 2 on top, second sound. And the other bird. Excellent, Arianch. Great job, Marcus. Over here. What job number is this silent final E? Thank you, Ben. Job number 4 is for syllables that have only those consonant sounds. We need to have a written vowel. That's an English rule. This word is a noun, usually, but it also can be a verb like circle the correct answer. Okay, time for a dictated sentence now. Please write for your dictated sentence. Would you envelop your mom in a giant hug? Or actually, let's use another one of the spelling words. Please envelop your letter in an envelope. Okay, the sentence again, please envelop your letter in an envelope. Write the sentence and then create a sentence of your own when you finish. Alina, do you have a question? Please envelop your letter in an envelope.
It's just a comment about that spelling word circle. Well, actually,
Sorry, because of the delay, Alina, it's hard to see, but I see you've got a circle with your Cheerio. Very good. Marcus, did you have something to share?
I was just raising my hand that I was done.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll let others take a little bit more time to finish the dictated sentence. Then I'd love to hear some sentences that you create using some of these words. Develop, circle. Give you a little bit more time to finish.
Miss Gardner, can I share my sentence?
In just a minute. Okay. Please envelop your letter in an envelope. Please envelop your letter in an envelope. Okay, Samhita, would you share your sentence?
Could you envelope your mom in a giant circle hug?
Oh, a circle hug. Good use of another one in there too. Ariane, could I hear yours?
You will develop once you circle your envelope.
You will develop once you circle your envelope. Interesting. Anybody else have a sentence they would like to share? Rishith?
We got a circle envelope that's set to develop instead of envelope this plant.
Need to develop instead of envelop. Nice. Alexander, would you like to share yours?
Yes, please. I developed a circle.
Oh, nice. Developed a circle. Okay. Well, let's put
Miss
our
Gardner,
binders away.
have
Samhita, I'm sorry, sweetheart. You can't speak out without permission. Okay, let's put our binders away now and take out our well-ordered language workbooks. We are about to finish up our whole unit on subject pronouns. And we've got a short little poem to read today, which is really cute, that has a lot of subject pronouns and antecedents in it. Remember that an antecedent is a noun clause or phrase to which a pronoun refers. So it's the noun that the pronoun is taking the place of. Okay, so we're going to be on page 183 to 184 in our workbook. And we're going to do all of this together so you actually don't have any pages in Bright Thinker to do, since we're finishing up this whole unit and about to take a test. Our test is not until Thursday, but today and tomorrow we're just doing some review. Let's sing our subject pronoun jingle together to review what the subject pronouns are. Subject pronouns are, in the nominative case, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Subject pronouns are in the nominative case. So I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they are the subject pronouns. I forgot that I was also going to go over the answers to what you did independently yesterday. So let's go ahead and do that. On pages 180 and 181, before continuing to our poem. Who figured out the answers to the last two riddles on page 180? The first one about living in Asia in the bamboo jungles, and then the next one, chattering in trees. Hands up if you'd like to share what you came up with as the answers to these two riddles. Solving for the antecedent, once we know a subject pronoun. Harika, would you like to share? Or that's, yeah, Harika, what do you think the answer to this riddle is?
Since it said it has white, I have black and white fur. I look like a teddy bear. That reminds me of a panda, so I think it's a panda.
Oh, nice guess. Who agrees? Very good, panda or panda bear. Emma, what do you think the next one is? And we want it to be singular, since it's singular.
We chatter in trees. We hop. Hide
Good.
nuts in the ground. We scurry from branch to branch. I think it's a squirrel.
Excellent. Now, we is a plural pronoun though, so let's make it not squirrel, but squirrels, plural. Who agrees with Emma?
And after what
Nice job, Emma.
can I show my elf?
Maybe a little bit later, Emma. Let's go over the
Okay.
answers now to page 181. So we went over sentence A together. Here is sentence B, which I didn't go over with our class, but I did with the 11:30 class. So check that your answers match mine. Then I'll have a couple of other people share their answers for sentences C and D. Tyke, would you share the parts of speech in this sentence, starting with subject, then predicate, then direct object, just like our order of analysis?
Okay, so accidentally is the adverb.
Good. Let's wait and just find the subject first, though.
Oh, it is the subject.
Excellent. And our verb?
Hit.
Excellent. What's the direct object?
Goal.
Excellent.
And then
Adverb?
adverb is accidentally.
Very good.
And the adjectives are the and wrong.
Excellent. Both pointing over to goal. Very nice. Tag, you've been doing a great job of identifying the words in our sentences, but occasionally it looks like you've forgotten to do with your arrows. Do you have arrows for the adverbs and adjectives?
I think I did. I might have underlined one or two, but
Okay. Do you have your book open in front of you, page 181?
I can't find it. It's not in my box for some reason.
Oh, no. So you are just doing that along with me right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also remembered my answers.
Oh, very good. Okay. When you find it, would you double check that your adverbs and adjectives always are arrows pointing to, for an adverb, it points to a verb since that's what it modifies, and then adjectives pointing to the noun.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, Tig. Who would like to share the answer to the next sentence? Sentence D. Let's have maybe Kruthi share her answers. Once again, starting with subject, then predicate verb, direct object, and then our modifiers, just like Tig.
Okay, there we go. So coach is a subject. Oh, wait,
Actually,
sorry,
coach
they
is a
subject.
noun, but it's not the subject. They never disobeyed
They
the
is
coach
subject.
again. Good. Yes, they is our subject.
And disobeyed is the predicate verb.
Excellent.
Coach is the DO.
Very good.
Never is an adverb.
Nice.
And again is another adverb. And the is a adjective.
Excellent job, Kruthi. Boys and girls, again, might have been a tricky one for some of you. If that's the case, remember that almost always, if there's a word after our DO, it's an adverb, right? This does answer when, which is one of the adverb questions, so that's good to know as well. But also, you can just think of, if it's after the DO, it's probably an adverb. When we get to more complex sentences, we'll have things like prepositional phrases that are after our direct object sometimes. But for the sake of what you're doing right now, usually if there's something after that do, it's an adverb. And never, just like not, is an adverb, which basically says that the verb didn't happen. Great job. How do you all feel about these subject pronouns overall? Thumbs up if you feel pretty good about it, sideways, if you make maybe some mistakes with these, or down if you're having a hard time with them. And Tag, it looks like you're doing really well with them, even with being gone for a whole week. So that's great to see. Okay, let's go over to our poem now on page 183. And I'm going to have some volunteers read each a stanza at a time. In poetry, we don't have paragraphs, we have stanzas. So this whole grouping of lines together is one stanza. And as you can see, it's about a character that you are probably very familiar with. Who is it about? Pooh, Winnie the Pooh. We've got a nice little stanza, a poem about Winnie the Pooh. And at the top it says, did you have a special stuffed animal when you were little? Christopher Robin has a very special stuffed bear named Winnie the Pooh. They have an adventure together in this poem called Us Two by A.A. Milne. As you read the poem, keep in mind that Christopher Robin is I in the poem. So whenever it says I, it's talking about Christopher Robin. That is, Christopher Robin is the antecedent because he is the one saying that poem. When he talks about Pooh Bear, he uses he, because we use he for when we're not talking directly to a person, just about someone. But when he quotes his best friend Pooh Bear, he calls him you. So sometimes he says he for Pooh Bear, and sometimes he says you if he's talking directly to Pooh Bear. And then what sort of dragons do they find across the river is the question. Ariansh, could you read the first stanza of our poem?
Wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh in me. Whatever I do, he wants to do. Where are you going today? Says Pooh. Well, that's very odd, 'cause I was too. Let's go together, says Pooh. Says he. Let's go together, says Pooh.
Excellent. Okay, and Ariansh, we tend to say says rather than says. So let's go together, says Pooh. Now, Ariansh, what's happening so far? Where are they going? Do we know yet?
No.
Nope, we don't. It just says, where are you going today? Well, that's very odd because I was too. So let's find out what happens next. Sahanastri, would you read the second stanza? I'll have Sahanastri do the next stanza. I'm not sure why, but she's having a hard time unmuting. Marcus, would you read stanza 2?
What's twice 11? I said to Pooch. Well, what? Twice what? Said Pooh to me. I think it ought to be 22. Just
Is that
what
correct?
I think myself, said Pooh. It wasn't an easy sum to do, but that's what it is, said Pooh. That's what it is, said Pooh.
Thank you, Marcus. Okay, so Hanastri, are you able to unmute yourself now? And by the way, Marcus, did they correctly find the sum of twice 11 or 11 times 2, saying it as a multiplication fact? Thumbs up if you think they got it correct. Down if not. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just wait for 2
Let's
minutes.
look for
They
dragons.
should have
I
been.
said
If
to
not,
Pooh.
if anything-
Yes,
if anyone
let's,
discusses, let me know.
said
I'll
Pooh
take
to
it.
me.
Okay?
We crossed the river and found a few.
It will
Yes,
change- it will
those
change
are
definitely,
dragons.
because as soon
All
as you see the
right,
management facts,
said Pooh. As
should
soon
change.
as
You see
I
that,
saw the beaks, I knew
yeah,
that
this
I
anyway,
knew. That's what they are, said
Because we
Pooh,
got
said
it.
he. Yeah, that's what they are, said
Yeah,
Pooh.
these are all 1201. These are all.
Well, they think they've spotted some dragons. Let's see if that's true. Rishith, would you read the next stanza?
Let's frighten the dragon, I said to Pooh. That's right, said Pooh to me. I'm not afraid, I said to Pooh, and I held his paw and shouted, shoo! Silly old dragons, and up they flew. I wasn't afraid, said Pooh, said he. I'm never afraid with you.
Do you think they really spotted dragons? What do you think these creatures truly are? Samhita?
I think they're birds.
It sure sounds like they're birds. They have beaks and they flew away. Plus, dragons don't exist. So that's our biggest hint of all.
Maybe
But they've
lizards.
got some wild imaginations. And finally, Dikshita, would you finish our poem with the last stanza?
So wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh and me. What would I do? I said to Pooh. If it wasn't for you, said Pooh said. True, it isn't much fun for me. One but two can stick together, says Pooh, says he. That's how it is, says Pooh.
Nice. So it's a sweet poem about sticking together. They have more fun when they're together. Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. Okay, well, that is just a fun little poem. One of our lessons to enjoy. So we'll do some review tomorrow of continued practice of subject pronouns and analyzing sentences with them. Let's close off with just saying all of our subject pronouns from our jingle. And we are going to do some roots next, so I'd like you to take out some index cards as well. Can you say the subject pronouns with me? Subject pronouns are in the nominative case. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Subject pronouns are in the nominative case. Ben, would you unmute yourself and say it for us? What are the subject pronouns?
It's been a while since I've heard them because I've been gone.
Yep, you were gone for several days. Let me get you started. I, you, what's next?
He, she.
Good. What's next?
It.
Mm-hmm.
You.
We. you, and what's the last one?
We.
We, you, and they.
They.
Let's say it one more time all together, Ben. So I, you, say it with me.
You.
He,
He.
she,
She.
it,
It.
we,
We.
you,
You.
and they. And for some reason, my camera is not working, so I'm going to leave the call and come right back, boys and girls. That's better. For some reason, sometimes when I switch from the document camera back to this camera, it doesn't work. Okay, let's review some of the roots that we did before Thanksgiving break. That's the last time we did roots, and so it's been a little while. But we learned the word scopio, which is Greek. We get words like microscope and telescope from this word. What does that Greek word scopio mean? Who remembers? Let me hear from Alina. Okay, I'm sorry, Alina. It's that long delay. I am not able to hear you. So, Ariane, could you tell me what scopio means?
I think it has to do something with our eyesight.
Exactly. It has to do with looking and seeing. So like telescope is a device for seeing far away because tele means far away or distant. Microscope comes from a Greek word mikros, meaning small, tiny. So microscope is used for seeing tiny things. There's periscope. A periscope is a device for seeing around other items, like from underwater to above water. And kaleidoscope helps you to see beautiful things, beautiful shapes that form. And a lot of times they're made from little fragments of glass, colored glass pieces. Okay, so let's take a look at a Latin word that also means to see or look. Our Latin word today is, it looks like the word video. And we do get the word video from it, but in Latin we pronounce it video. Would you say video? So this Latin word video is spelled with a V, but depending on the type of Latin, the V is pronounced as a W. So it's video, visum. Video, visum. And the first word is the first person nominative singular, which goes along with what we're talking about in our well-ordered language. This is what we would use for if I am seeing video. And then visum is just like to see in general. You don't need to know about the grammar of Latin. However, when you're older, you will start learning about the grammar of it and how it actually changes depending on who's doing it. I do want you to write both of these words, video and visum, on your card. And we'll look at a couple of derivatives as well. So video, visum. With a red border, since it's Latin.
Miss,
Miss Gardner, could you wait?
What's that?
Could you please wait because the meeting kicked me out?
Oh, sweetheart. Okay, I won't wait, but I will write them in the chat as well, so that if there's ever a time when you go back and forth, it at least will be written there. And let me know if it kicks you out and then you lose the chat feature, and I'll just write it again. Okay.
Miss Gardner?
Sweetheart, yes?
I didn't really get to write the full meaning of Periscope. So can you write in the chat?
Yes, I'll get it later. After we're done with these. So video, I assume, just means to see. So we're going to write for that one. And I'll write all of these in the chat as well, so that if I'm going a little too fast, you can get it and you can finish them up by looking in the chat. Now, the most obvious derivative of this is that video comes from this word, which is spelled identically. Spelled identically, the exact same, V-I-D-E-O, video. But that's how we pronounce it in English, video. So video is the picture portion of television, according to this definition that we have. And by that, it means that movies and TV are moving pictures where you're actually able to hear things, but video is just referring to the part that you see. It's the picture portion of television, not what you hear, but what you see. So video, picture portion of television. And television comes from it as well. Also vision, but that's not in the list here. But vision would come from it too. Now television comes from the word video, assume. Somebody is unmuted. It looks like Josiah maybe. But what other word do you see? In television.
The screen is blurry.
Okay, Samhita, I would be happy to switch it, but please make sure that we don't just shout out, okay? Television comes from, I actually dimly underlined it in red though. This is actually a Greek word, tele. So this English word actually combines a Latin word, vision, and the Greek word tele, which means far away or distant. And this is a machine.
Miss Gardner, your screen is blurry.
Deekshita, please say it in a respectful way. And boys and girls, I'm sorry if it's a little bit blurry. I'll see if I can fix it, but we can't just unmute ourselves like that. Because I'm also saying it out loud. So as I'm reading the definition, you can be listening to it, okay? So as I'm saying machine for seeing things that are far away, you can listen and know what to write. But if you interrupt by unmuting, then you can't even hear it. Machine for seeing things that are far away. And as always, I'm writing it in the chat as well. But please try to listen and write what you hear. The machine for seeing things that are far away. Can you show me a thumbs up if that's clearer than before? Is that more clear? Okay, good to know. It's also in the chat. It's a machine for seeing things that are far away. Okay. Once you're done with that, we're going to take out our orthography notebooks and write the words from today's lesson before we start our math lesson for today. Also, Alina, I think that we actually did not do Periscope, but just in case you'd like to have it, it's a device for seeing around obstacles. I think we didn't actually do that. I wrote it in. Alina. If you'd like to have that one,
Yeah,
that's
thanks.
a derivative of Scopio. That's a fun one to learn. Okay, so take out those orthography notebooks now. We have words from lesson 41. And just out of curiosity, I'm going to see where it was that we learned circle. Oh, there it is. Lesson 7, early on. I don't know why they have us do it twice. It's kind of silly. But you'll just really master that word circle. So lesson 41 is what we're writing today. Our first word was develop, develop. The second word was envelop, and unfortunately the cameras are not working very well. So let me know if this is too fast. Envelop. And I think you know what comes after that. Envelope. You are welcome to write next words if you just remember what happened or what comes next. Make sure you are marking them as well, though. And hold up your paper as soon as you're done, please. And I can't see everybody's screens working, but I can just pin yours as soon as I see that you're finished. The last one was circle. Circle. We'll bracket these two. And please hold up your paper when you're done with all these 4 words. Josiah, that looks excellent. Thank you. Arianj, could you hold it a little closer? Great, thank you. Thank you, Sahanasri, Kruthi, Dikshita, those all look good. Alexander, can you show me your paper if you're done? Marcus, Arshad, Tig, would you show me your papers if you're done? Thank you, Emma, that looks good. Thank you, Rishith. Marcus, can you hold it a little closer? Your screen's a little blurry, so it's hard to see. That's better. Do you have your markings? I can't tell. If not, would you make sure that you mark the same that I did here, Marcus? Okay, we're going to write in a couple of spots. Let's start at the back here. Page 75. Pages 74 and 75 have spaces for words with the spelling patterns. And word circle, we're going to put in the column for the or bird. This is page 75. 75. Circle. And let's also turn to page 16. Page 16 is our verb page. Let's write the 2 verbs from today's lesson on this page, develop and envelop. Develop.
Miss Gardner, what page is it?
16. And envelop. Okay, and that's all we'll do for sorting today. So you can close this up as soon as you're done. Take a moment to stretch, move around, and we're taking out our math notebooks next. If you need to go to the bathroom or get a snack, anything like that, this is a great time to do so. Okay. Arianj, did you have a question? I see a couple of hands up. Once again, we're taking out our math notebooks next. Dikshita, did you have a question? I see your hand up as well.
My question is, do we have a map? When do we have the map test?
We have a math test tomorrow.
Is it reading?
Math. It's just a math test on multiplication, not a map test.
Is there a map test?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have our math test tomorrow, though, on multiplication. We are finishing up this unit on multiplication, but we're continuing multiplication in the next unit that will start on Thursday. We are taking our knowledge of multiplication facts, and starting Thursday, we're going to begin learning harder multiplication, where we have 2 and 3 digit numbers multiplied by 1 digit numbers. I know some of you might have already learned the basics of this, but I know it's new for many of you. We'll be taking a look at problems like this soon, where we multiply larger numbers like 234 times 2. And we need to know our math facts really well to be able to do problems like this. It's not very difficult as long as you know your multiplication facts. And they just have simple steps to solve problems like this. As long as you know your multiplication facts, you will be able to do this really well. And just to give you a little preview of what to do for this, just like addition and subtraction, we follow steps beginning with the ones place. But instead of adding or subtracting, we multiply. So, for example, in this problem, we would multiply the ones 4 times 2, which equals what?
8.
8. So we put 8 as the answer in the ones place. Now, what's different than addition and subtraction is that this number at the bottom that we're multiplying by, we multiply that by every place value at the top. So we would next multiply 2 again, but this time by 3. So 2 times 3 equals 6, correct. And then finally, we're multiplying still this 2 down at the bottom, but this time by the hundreds. So 2 times 2 equals 4. So if you know your multiplication facts, they're very simple to solve. But if you still are not very confident in your multiplication facts, make sure you are still practicing those every single day with your flashcards and continuing to have a hard pile of facts that you are practicing a lot more often. And then the easy pile, like maybe these 2s are in the easy pile because you already know 2 times 3 and you could answer it pretty quickly. Or 2 times 4 or 2 times 2. So those would be easy pile problems. But what do you need to spend more time on? Those hard problems, right? Which is what we've been focusing on in this unit, our 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s, which maybe lots of you are still taking a little longer with your 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. Make sure you are practicing your multiplication facts with flashcards every single day. Let's do a quick little warm-up actually before we even do anything in our math notebook today. Would you take out a whiteboard and marker, and we're just going to do some quick answering of some math facts. You'll write the answer on the board and hold it up to the camera as soon as you have the answer. Okay? And we're focusing on 6s through 9s. Now for the test tomorrow, you don't have to be quick. You can take all the time that you need. But we should be working on getting faster and faster with these math facts. That's why we're using the flashcards every single day. Okay, please write down the answer to 6 times 6. And hold it up as soon as you're done. 6 times 6. And you can write just the answer itself. It looks like Dikshita was fast to write the problem as well, but you can do just the answer if you want. And the cameras are not working very well, but from the people that I've pinned so far, great job. I see correct answers of 36. Let's do another one. Please write the answer to 8 times 4. 8 times 4. Use whatever strategy you need to solve this. If it's not quick for you, might need to use a strategy to help you. Maybe you know 8 times 5, and you can subtract 8 from that. Or you know 8 times 3, and you add 8 more. For those people who I see answers from, it is correct, but I'm still pinning some screens to see them. 8 times 4 is 32. If that was incorrect, then that needs to be probably in your hard pile when you practice your multiplication flashcards today. Okay, let's try another one. 7 times 4. So instead of 8 groups of 4, it's 7 groups of 4. So we're taking away 4 from the last answer. 7 times 4, or 7 groups of 4. I'm pinning screens and looking for more people to hold up their answers though. Make sure you're keeping it right up here at the camera so I can see it, because if you put it up and then take it away, I may not be able to see it once I pin your screen. Thank you, Ariane, for even pointing it out on your board. That's helpful since you've got other answers. Okay, 28 is the correct answer. Good job. Let's do a couple more. 9 times 3. 9 times 3, 9 groups of 3, or you can think of it as 3 groups of 9. We've got a few 9 tricks, including our fingers, where you can count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Put that finger down and check how many there are. On the left side, that's your 10s. And then all of these together are the 1s. That finger trick works really well for the 9s. Nine times 3, still looking for some answers. Make sure you hold it up when you're done. Harika, can you hold it a little higher? Excellent, thank you. 27 is correct. Great job. Also for the 9s, you can remove a group from the 10s, work backwards from the 10s. That's a good, helpful strategy too. Okay, let's put those whiteboards and markers away. And take out your notebook, because we're going to do a little review today, and we'll do a little more of this tomorrow before you end up taking your test. But I want to walk through some of the things that you will see on the test tomorrow. Now, Our goal is to be really fast with these multiplication facts and have them memorized. But for the test tomorrow, you can use whatever strategy you want to solve these multiplication problems. It may even be helpful for you to write out your times tables and use that as a reference. You're welcome to do that. So don't look in your notes, but if you want to, when you take the test tomorrow, you can have a blank piece of paper and just start to write out all of your sixes, for example. So you'd write out 6, 12, 18, 24, write out all those sixes, all the way up to 12 times 6. And you could do the same thing for the 7s, 8s, and 9s. So you are welcome to use that. That is one strategy to write out your times tables, just like you did for homework yesterday. You can also create arrays and number lines like we've been practicing, and that's a way of answering the multiplication problems. If you want to write out a number line and just get to the answer that way. Ariansh, do you have a question?
Can I share my technique for the 9s?
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
So it's a really simple one. So if it's 9 times 3, it's simple because it's just one group less from 3, which 3 times 10 equals to 30. So you just take away 3 because it's not 30. So the answer is 27.
Very good. So like for 9 times 4, you would think of 40 minus 4. Or 9 times 5, you think of 50 minus 5. That's a great strategy. Thank you for sharing that, Ariansh. Okay, so starting off with some review of vocabulary that we had earlier in the unit in our notes. It's been a little while with some of these words since we've talked about them. Okay. But let's walk through this together. You don't need to write anything down in your notebook yet. We'll talk about it, or I'll let you know once we do need to write information down. These words, commutative and associative, should be in your notes from earlier in our unit. And the rest of these we've talked about more frequently. Now, number 1 says, when using a number line to multiply, the number of skips shows the number of equal what? Which of these? Divided, area, commutative, associative, array, or groups? Which of those words makes the most sense? When we have a number line, the skips are the number of equal what? Harika?
What?
Can you tell me what would go in the blank here? When we have a number line, the number of skips shows the number of equal what? Which of these 6 words would make the most sense?
Groups?
Correct. The skips are one group. Each skip is one group. Number 2, when items are blank into equal groups, the number of items in each group should be the same. When items are what? Divided, area, commutative, associative, or array. Tig? The number in each group should be the same when we do this to the items.
I can't see your presentation.
Oh, really? Okay. Can you pin the screen that says presentation?
My internet is as high as it will go. Yeah.
Does it help when you pin the screen?
Presentation. I pinned it and it's still not showing.
Okay, let me just read it again. When items are blank into equal groups, the number of items in each group should be the same. Would we say when items are divided into equal groups? When items are area into equal groups? When items are array or commutative or associative? Which of those would be correct? I know it's tough to answer when you can't really see it, but when items are divided into those equal groups would be the correct answer to that. When we divide items into equal groups, every group should be equal. Every group should have the same amount. Number 3 is a property question, okay? So numbers 3 and 4 are going to be either commutative or associative. I think most of you probably have forgotten this. That's okay. We have not reviewed this much since the very beginning of our unit when we were talking about them. But what is the property that states that changing the order of numbers in a multiplication sentence does not change the answer? For example, 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Okay? That is the commutative property. Okay? The commutative property means it is the same answer even if we flip the order of those numbers. And then this one is the associative property, which states that the changing the way numbers in a multiplication sentence are multiplied together doesn't change the answer. For example, 2 times 3 times 4, we can change all of the order of these numbers, like 4 times 2 times 3. And finally, what kind of model is this below? What do we call that when we've got rows and columns to show the multiplication problem? Let me call on Dikshita for that one.
An array model.
Excellent. An array model is the correct answer for that one. Very good. Okay, so in your notes, you should have commutative and associative. However, it might be good just to write that down as 2 words to look at your notes, because for today, your only homework is to review your math facts and review your notes. So would you all write those 2 words down in your math notebook to review? And then in your math notebook as well, I'm going to have you write some of the answers for the next little section. Next, it says, find and circle the array model that shows 2 times 5. Which of these shows 2 groups of 5? That's the way that we read this problem, 2 groups of 5. Would it be the first group, the second group, or third group? Just show me with your fingers up, boys and girls. Is it the first group, that first array, the second array, or the third array that shows 2 groups of 5? And please pin the screen of that presentation if you're unable to see. Please pin that screen. Could I have Arshab share his answer? Which of these first, second, or third groups shows the correct array? Arshab, could you unmute yourself and share your answer?
I'm sorry, what?
Could you share your answer? Is group 1, 2, or 3 the correct array to show 2 groups of 5?
Group 3.
Correct. Why so?
Because it's 2 times 5. So there are 2 rows going
Excellent.
horizontal. What?
Keep going. You're doing well.
There are 2 rows going horizontal, and in each
We
row
call them-
there are 5 dots.
Correct. 2 rows going horizontally, and that's correct that we call these rows, and then 5 in each row, or 5 columns. Nicely done. Okay, boys and girls, for the next part, I want you to actually draw this out in your notebook. 6 times 3, which we read as 6 groups of 3. Please write that out on your notebook paper. A number line that shows 6 times 3, or 6 groups of 3. And hold yours up when you're done. Each group should have 3 in it. So remember, with those, we are skip counting by 3, not skip counting by 6, but we're skip counting by 3 because it's 6 little groups of 3. Alexander, would you like to share your answer when you're done? I see your hand up. So Alexander, when you finish, would you show us your number line and talk us through how you did it?
I have a small underline. Not really. Sorry. This is it. Kind of small.
Can you hold it up a little closer?
Oh.
Nice. Okay.
Close.
Okay, tell us how you did your number line and what your final answer is.
So I made my underline, and then I did 3 6 times, and my final answer was 18.
Great job. So skip counting by 3 6 times, gets you a final answer of 18.
Yes.
On the test tomorrow, you'll have some problems like this where all you do is write the correct answer to a multiplication problem like this. Use any strategy that we've talked about to solve those. It could be a number line. You could write out your times table. For example, we've got 3 problems that are multiplied by 7. You could write out your whole 7 times table and then answer using that times table to help you. But make sure that you are not looking at one from before that we've created. You're creating a new one just for the sake of the test from your memory as you skip count by that number. We'll skip over this for now since we were just talking about that yesterday, doing some problems that have the associative property. This is the associative property with those 3 numbers, in any order that you multiply them, you'll be able to solve it. So for example, with this one, if you know that it's going to be times 10, well, you can see that 2 times 5 would give you the times 10 part. And so 8 is what's missing. 8 times 10 is 40. That might be a little simpler than solving, for example, the 8 times 5 first and then multiplying it by 2. Okay, here are some problems that we're going to do as well. We'll just do 2 of these, but I am going to post this in Bright Thinker in case you have printers at home and would like to solve a little bit more to be even more prepared for the test tomorrow. But we're going to do just these 2 to finish up our math time. Okay. Number 10 says Alex bought 4 bags of apples. Each bag has 7 apples. How many apples did Alex buy? So 4 bags of apples, each bag has 7 apples. First of all, who can tell me? And that's right, we've got Alex like Alexander. What is the multiplication problem we're trying to solve here? Emma, could you tell me? Can you make a mental picture of someone buying 4 bags of apples and how many apples are in each bag? So there's 4 bags of apples.
Mm-hmm.
How many apples does it say are in each bag? I don't know if you can see it, but do you want me to read it one more time?
Yeah.
It says, Alex bought 4 bags of apples. Each bag has 7 apples. How many apples did Alex buy?
7.
Good. So you could draw 7 little dots to show each apple. Each bag will have 7 apples. Okay. That would be a way to show a picture of that information. Or you could draw an array. Where you have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows down, 7 across. And either way that you do it, or with a number line, that could show it as well. Whichever way you do it, you'll come up with the same answer for 4 groups of 7. Take a moment to solve that, boys and girls, and draw it out in one of these ways. It can be an array. This is an array. You could draw pictures like this, pictures of your groups. You could draw a number line. And then hold it up when you're done. And actually, we're not going to have time for that second one after all. But we are going to continue reviewing this tomorrow before you take that test on Bright Thinker. Hold up your pictures when you are done with your 4 groups of 7. And any of these picture strategies are ones that you can use for the test tomorrow if there is just a simple problem like 4 times 7 that you don't know the answer to. You can draw pictures or an array to help you solve it. Thank you, Tig. I'm going to pin your screen so I can see it a little better. Nice. Tig's got a number line where he counted by 7s. 4 groups of 7.
On a whiteboard or on our notebook?
This is in the notebook. Arianch, I'm pinning your screen to see it better. Looks like you've got a number line as well. Dikshita's got some pictures of her 4 groups with 7 apples. Samhita's got some extra problems in there. Looks like you did the ones that we skipped over. Great job, Samhita. Way to show excellence in all that you do by doing extra with your time when you just saw the problems in front of you. Very nice, Harika. She's got a great array. Okay, so no matter how you do it, you'll get the same answer of what? 4 groups of 7 is, Ben, can you share?
28.
Correct, 28. Okay, boys and girls, there will be a little bit on the test tomorrow where you do need to show your work like this, but for the most part, you can just have notebook paper in front of you as you do the work on the Bright Thinker test and use any of these strategies to help you to solve the problems correctly, okay? Your homework, once again for today, is just to review your notes and practice your math facts. Practicing your math facts with your flashcards is the most helpful way that you can be well prepared for the test tomorrow. But I'm going to post this on Bright Thinker, the review that I was just presenting, in case you want to do extra to be even more prepared. Does anybody have access to a printer at home? I know not everybody does, but Aryansh, I saw that you even printed off that science study guide. Samhita, Harika, Alexander, Kruthi, I see hands up, Alina as well. That would be excellent. I usually don't want you all to have to print too much because that's a lot to put on your parents. However, this is something that would be really helpful to print off. So I'm going to post that in Bright Thinker. For extra review, I will never require you to print something off since some of you don't have access to a printer. But it would be wonderful if you could do that. Print it off and solve the ones that we went over and then all of the extra ones that are on that page too. Okay, for science, yesterday there was a video with Mrs. Campbell going through the science study guide on ecosystems. Thumbs up if you were able to follow along with that video and solve the answers. Some of you might have even tried to answer it on your own, but hopefully if you got anything wrong, you'd see from the video what were the correct answers so that you knew what to study today. Because today, I want you just to look over your study guide to be better prepared for the test tomorrow. Let me do just a few quick questions to review the content that was on your study guide. What is a producer? Let's ask that one first. What is a producer? Who can tell me? Tyke, would you tell me what a producer is and an example of a producer?
A producer is an animal that are on the second and third level of the food pyramid. Like number one are the producers, like grass and trees, and then there are the animals that eat them. And I think, oh yeah, and an example would be a deer.
So a deer is a consumer because it eats something else. And as you already mentioned before, I think you might have been confused by the way I said the question, but a producer is a plant, as you mentioned. So why is it called a producer? What does it produce or make?
Because it makes its
Excellent.
own food.
It makes its own food. So a producer makes its own food. A consumer eats or consumes something else, whether that's a plant or an animal. The last one is a decomposer. That's the last category of organisms based off of what they eat. What does a decomposer do? Arshab, could you tell me what a decomposer does? And what's an example of a decomposer?
Oh, Miss Gardner, one more thing. We are producers because we can make our own food.
That's a good point. We can cook and make our own food somewhat, but we don't make the ingredients. And plants can make every part of the meal. But that's pretty clever, Tig. Okay, let's hear what a decomposer is.
A decomposer is it's a living organism that breaks down dead plants and animals.
Excellent. What's an example of one?
A mushroom.
Very good. Mushrooms are examples of decomposers that break down dead plants and animals. Okay. Symbiosis, remember, is a relationship that either helps both organisms, or maybe one is helped, the other one's hurt, or one is helped and the other one just stays the same. Which of the following is a clownfish and sea anemone relationship? Is it help, help harm, or help and no effect? Do y'all remember with the clownfish and sea anemone? What type of relationship is that? Marcus, do you remember? Help, help harm, or help no effect?
Help.
Correct. Can you tell us a little about the clownfish and sea anemone?
What's a clownfish? I know it's a
Like
fish, but
Nemo. If you've seen Finding Nemo, it's just
No, I
a
haven't watched
specific kind of fish. It's orange and white and lives in the ocean. It's a saltwater fish. So it's help, help. You're correct. Basically, the clownfish kind of cleans up the anemone, and the anemone provides some food for the clownfish. We've got a bunch of vocabulary. This one you would have immediately seen if your answers were correct. On the test tomorrow, it'll be matching like this. The way plants make their own food is called photosynthesis, right? Abiotic and biotic factors. Remember that biotic it means living. Abiotic factors are the ones that are not living. Review these. This is your science assignment for today, just to review this whole study guide. Okay. For the nitrogen cycle, you're just going to order the steps of the nitrogen cycle. So in the study guide, you needed to write it out, but for the test tomorrow, you're just going to put them in the right order, and you'll use the arrows to move them around. Okay. Order the steps of photosynthesis. You'll do the same thing for that, ordering it instead of writing it out. And you've got lots of questions about some of the specific vocabulary, so make sure that you're reviewing that. Okay, so that is the test tomorrow that you'll have for science. In history, you read about gladiators and the Circus Maximus for chariot racing yesterday. Today, you'll take some notes, and I've got a couple of cool videos for you to watch, and it's actually posted as 2 different assignments. So some notes that are pretty straightforward on gladiators and chariot racing. Plus, there's this video for you to watch on the Colosseum, and then the big Colosseum, which is actually Circus Maximus, which is much, much larger than the Colosseum. Bigger than probably most arenas that you would go to today. If anybody's gone to like football games, baseball games, bigger than those, the Circus Maximus. So those are the videos to watch. Plus, this one it wasn't on YouTube, and so it's a separate link, and it just says Coliseum video. But this is a really cool one to show you today what it looks like
For
if you were to go
500
to the
years,
Coliseum.
The Coliseum was the greatest entertainment complex the world had ever seen, providing the backdrop for spectacular shows.
One of the reasons why 7,000 people come here every day is because of our morbid fascination with what went on right here. Wild animal hunt.
Anyway, those are hopefully really cool videos to watch to really make it come to life. It's amazing that, especially the Colosseum, not so much Circus Maximus, but the Colosseum, you can still see the whole structure today, and it shows how wonderful the Romans were at building, that it's inspiration for the way that we make arenas today to go to see any type of sporting event or concert. So it really inspired the types of buildings we have today, and it was built strongly enough that it's still around today, and people can actually walk around it. And it was so cleverly designed with areas for the gladiators and animals to be stored. Ty, did you have a question or comment to make about that?
So one time my dad took me to Nebraska to watch our college basketball, one of our college basketball team games, and it was huge. It was ginormous.
Is your family from Nebraska?
There were like there were like more than, almost like, I'm guessing more than 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
No, we're from
Pennsylvania. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
People there until the end of the game, where Villanova, our basketball team, started winning like crazy, and so then there were only like 100 people left.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
so
So a lot of the stadiums for like football would be 50 or 70,000, something like that. For basketball, it's smaller, but still very high. And so, yeah, tens of thousands of people.
We had a 27-point lead.
Whoa, good job. That's fun to go to a winning game of your favorite team. And for like professional teams, they're even bigger.
We won 90 to Yeah.
So has anybody gone to an arena to see college sports or a professional team play? Then you'll understand a little bit of what the Coliseum would have been like. You've been to one of those arenas. Okay, let me hear one last comment from Arianch. I know that it's time for a reading group, so let me hear quickly from Arianch, and then we'll have just the reading group stay on.
So I have this small arena. It's for a toy I don't really play with anymore. It's called Beyblades, and it's like this small arena where there's no audience, and it's like an arena, but there's no audience. Like it's just a very small arena that you can
and it does look like an arena.
Well, that's like barely even nothing compared to the Coliseum.
Absolutely. But it's still fun to see kind of the inspiration, because the Coliseum, to my knowledge, it was sort of the first arena that was shaped in that way, with people on all sides able to watch like that. So even a Beyblades kind of stadium or arena is based off of that model. Oh, there's Rishith. Nice. Rishith has a Beyblade stadium for us to see.
I have 3.
3 Beyblade stadiums? Or what do you call them?
But they're in my attic.
Oh, okay. Well, it is 10:30. We need to start our reading group. So thank you all for a wonderful class today. I'll just have Deekshita, Arianch, Arshab, and Alina stay with me. Everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
just about to leave.
Bye.
Bye, everybody else.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to continue reading from The Chocolate Touch, and you'll have to remind me where we left off. It's been a little while since our group has read together. So let me present my screen, and you can help me remember what was the last part that we read in The Chocolate Touch. And Alina, yes, I was about to say, let's turn off that camera so that we can hear from you better. And Emma, Ty, Hanasri, I'll talk to you later. You can head out of the group now. Bye. And I'm going to stop recording now too.
Bye.